dirty roads. I said dirt roads. And in fact, my plantation is on a dirt road as well. So I didn't say dirty roads. I said dirt roads, which is a big difference. And furthermore, have you been to Cotonou?
Why are you trying to get to know me, Saint?
Well, we're talking about Benin and the capital.
Why are you trying to get to know me? You're asking me all these personal questions. I'm not understanding this.
No, that's not a personal question. This is actually relevant to the subject matter.
My baby father, my baby, my marriage,
Hold on 1 second, madam.
husband.
I just asked you if you.
Come on.
I merely asked you if you've been to the place that we're discussing because I said dirt roads and you said dirty roads, and I think maybe you heard dirty roads because you're more familiar with that in the West.
Now, True, Pretty, if I'm not mistaken, I thought you had, maybe Saint did also, a response to what True said in terms of the worldview aspect, you know? Because True, when I heard that, it seemed like he pigeonholed culture to the things that he thought was suitable, like language and worldview. The reason why I didn't think Saint was disparaging them, Pretty, is because he gave us context to where they're doing in terms of what he said about worldview. So when he made it about worldview, now we got to see how successful is Benin in terms of finances and etc. Right? Because if you guys read this book by Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, the colonization happened to them too. And did they bounce back from it? Are they acting very similarly to people that have been conquered? And so when we assess them, when he gave us all the information, it goes directly into the person on the clip's worldview point, you know? So I thought that information was valuable, even though it can be salacious depending on the ears hearing it.
DJ, can I thank you for acknowledging that? I really appreciate that because when I was speaking the facts. Talked about the population of Benin, their major export crop, their political history, their accomplishment as being one of the first democracies in Africa, but now destabilized due to a coup. Everything I spoke about was factual, which if you juxtapose that to what Frank said, it was anecdotal at best. And so I don't even think that Pretty thought that what I was saying was disparaging. I think that's not what she thought. That's how she felt. Because as you mentioned, everything I said was based on the data. And then I gave the data on the African-American side, meaning if we were comparing Black Americans as a nation to Benin, we'd find that by far we'd be a superior nation in terms of population, cultural influence, spending power, and much else. I yield the floor and I thank you.
Indeed. Go ahead, True, because I think that is a response to you, kind of True. And I know Pretty wanted to respond to you as well, but I'm not sure if she did. But go ahead, True, and then Pretty, you could go, and then let's get Luck and Bo. Bo, where you come from? What's up? If you don't mind, go ahead, True, and then I think Pretty wanted to say something as well. What's up, Luck?
I appreciate the context being delivered because I think that is very beneficial in this conversation. But what I received from him speaking from a worldview perspective is that from an American perspective, we have a worldview. So I felt that was accurate to just utilize that. And for whatever reason, we went and danced off on a whole bunch of other things, almost to be offended. I don't think that we should be offended. America is one of the most dominant superpowers to date, period. But Americans don't also have a face. There is no face of Americans. It is a continent. It is a culture. It is an attitude. It is a perspective. So we're defining now being Black Americans. If you're going to leave this country, you're going to have an American passport. You represent a nation. So I think from that standpoint, we were being intellectually dishonest, almost to see that there was an energy between the Africans and the African Americans, which I personally don't share that sentiment. And I'll land there.
And I want to be very quick because I didn't inherently disagree with the factual parts of what Saint was saying. That's why I said I disagreed with True and I agreed with the factual parts of what Saint was saying. But when you say things like dirty roads and trying to dress like us and you're literally calling them dirty feet, dirty road, these are disparaging statements. Like, let's be real. So that's why I simply said, hey, don't say it's not disparaging if that's what it is, right? Like it's as simple as that. That was my only critique of what he said because everything he said was factually sound.
Shane, you got a quick rebuttal?
Dirty roads. I said dirt roads. And in fact, my plantation is on a dirt road as well. So I didn't say dirty roads. I said dirt roads, which is a big difference. And furthermore, have you been to Cotonou?
Why are you trying to get to know me, Saint?
We're talking about Benin and the
Why are
capital
you
is
trying to get to
fentanyl.
know me? You're asking me all these personal questions. I'm not understanding this.
No, that's not a personal question. This is actually
Very much
relevant
is
to
a
the
personal
subject
question.
matter.
My baby
If
father, my marriage,
hold on one
my
second, madam. One
husband,
second. I
my,
just asked you
all of
if
this. Yeah,
you.
can
Come
we
on, come
not
on,
I,
come on, come on.
just,
I,
let's just,
I merely asked you if you've been to the place that we're discussing because I said dirt roads and you said dirty roads. And I think maybe you heard dirty roads because you're more familiar with that in the West. Whereas I'm speaking of a place that has
I know what
dirt roads.
I know.
And maybe that's how you misunderstood. And the reason I asked if you've been there, because then it would give you a greater perspective.
No,
Because
I
of things
fully understand what dirt roads are.
you
We
don't
have
have to keep. You don't.
in
Have,
my
calm
country.
down. Calm down. Calm
Yeah.
down.
No, you're the one who
Calm
just
down. You don't have to
dirt.
keep
You're
you
the
don't
one
have
who
to-
just yelled just
calm
now.
down. You don't have to keep
You don't have to
interrupting.
tell me to calm down.
You're talking. It's not your turn.
You don't have to
I
tell
have the floor. They're saying you're triggered in the chat. Just calm down for a
I
second.
don't care what the chat says.
So my point is this, that when I make reference and say that they emulate us, but they're a poorer version, it's factual. And this is expressed in the per capita income being a huge drop off between ours and theirs. And so, yes, it's true that they emulate us, but it's not just them. The Armenians emulate us. The Latinos emulate us. And so I'm saying when they emulate us, they're a poorer version. It's fairly bad. Just like if you emulate a white woman and wear a blonde wig, it's going to look not as good as hers because hers is the real deal. And that's just
I
merely
don't emulate
descriptive.
white women's
I'm
hair.
not saying you do. I'm just giving an analogy. I'm just giving an analogy, madam. You don't have to interrupt me again. This is like the third interruption while I'm speaking. I'll just yield the floor.
Yeah.
So true. One thing that Saint had said when you were replying was kill an ant with a sledgehammer, and he referenced like Anti-Defamation League. They literally don't let anything slide, right? And so I think that point was pretty well made also. Maybe if Shan comes off mic, then she could bring us back.
No, I think that everybody said, I've agreed with a little bit of what everybody has said. I wish we can have an honest conversation though. I wish the guy was not from Africa, so we can take that part out, so we can have a conversation amongst African Americans about it. Because I think we get so attached to that part that we're not able to have a conversation that needs to be had. So, but I will continue. I'm pretty sure there's more to come, and I'll jump in. But that part is,
Okay, 100%. But one thing that the gentleman has said was music, that those food and things of that nature aren't a part of culture, right? Pretty read the definition of culture, and it includes those things. He was mentioning worldview, how people essentially like how well they doing financially. Do they have a language? That's what defines a person's culture. What do you think about that part of the clip?
I think that I think my definition would be more so of what Pretty stated, along with values and all of those things. But it would be interesting to see. I think that we're just divided. I think that we, even if you ask everybody on the panel what they think the African American culture is, we probably all have difference of opinion on what that looks like. But because we're all pretty intellectual, we'll probably say the same thing: Black excellence. But does everybody start with that? Just that's the part. I think we may all see that, but
Okay. Now I get concerned with culture, the definition being colloquial, or only the connotation being focused on, right? We should focus on the denotation of culture and then go from there. If we all get to define it how we want, it's like having two quarterbacks. Oh, well, y'all don't play football. If you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback, essentially.
So I would like to hear everybody's definition. What do they see? What's our culture?
Bo, I think Bo just got here. If she want to go.
So I think that we don't realize that a lot of what our culture actually is, we actually hate about it. Like the things that we hate are the things that our culture actually is. The way we communicate, we can communicate with no words. We can communicate with words that don't mean like that means something completely different than what that word. Like our form of communication is very unique because we could not, back in those times, we could not say the words that we needed to say to each other. So we developed a new way of communicating, a lot of nonverbals. a lot of these faces that we tend to make, like Pretty and I communicate on the panel with faces. We know what we're saying to each other. And a lot of what you all hate about that is what you should admire, because we have developed a system to communicate. Our music, we have developed all of the music. We have done all of the things, our clothes, and you all hate twerking. Y'all love it and y'all hate it. Because y'all like all of it, and then y'all hate it. Y'all want to demonize it when it suits you. But our body movements are very unique. That is a culture. It seems like every single thing that Black people hate about themselves, that is what our culture actually is. The way we revere our elders, our religion, whether you agree or not, whether you like it or don't, we keep those traditions. There are a lot of pre-slavery things that are still inside of the church because they had to hide these things inside of certain movements and words and all of that, so that the little white people didn't know what we was doing. So we kept a lot of our traditions from the motherland, and we put it into our religion where they couldn't understand it. Like we do so many things now that we don't know where it comes from. And I think that you all would I think that you all could benefit from reading and just, being knowledgeable about what your history is, so that you can understand and appreciate what your actual culture is, because we have a very rich culture.